Hi, and welcome to my channel. I'm Lauren, and today my pups Ziggy and Zoey decided to join in as well. This class is the first of 4 in a series on yoga for your menstrual cycle. Today's focus will be on days 1 to 5 when you're in that menstrual phase. And during this phase, your uterine lining sheds because you're not pregnant. And there's a lot of things that come with that. You may find your energy levels could be lower. You may experience fatigue, cramps, mood swings, and that's because your estrogen and progesterone levels are lower. Now, I'm not a specialist by any means, but I have personal experience on what my body craves during those 4 phases of my cycle, and I would like to share with you what supports me and hopefully can help to support you during your cycle. Now, this class is a short and sweet Yin-Yang format that's designed to balance out your energy levels, ease cramping, and help with fatigue. So slip into something comfortable. You're gonna need a bolster. If you don't have that, you can grab a sturdy pillow and 2 blocks, and I'll meet you here on the mat. Let's begin with the Yang portion of our practice. So come into child's pose, and I know it's not always the most supportive or comfortable shape for everybody, especially if you have things going on with the knees or your ankles. So don't be afraid to utilize your props to support you, even if you're here for a shorter period of time. So I like to take it with the knees wide, especially if I'm during that menstrual phase of my cycle. You can place the bolster underneath your belly. If you want more support for your knees so they're not bent as deeply, you can take the bolster under your hips, sitting back on that. And then maybe you choose to take your forehead on a block and then reach your arms out in front of you. So I'll just go ahead and stay here, but find whatever is gonna support you best. And then close your eyes. This may feel very therapeutic for your lower back and for your lower abdomen that feels kind of crampy, bit of bloating. Take a deep inhale, feel your belly and your back expand. And a big sigh out. Again, inhale through your nose. Exhale out through your mouth. Do that one more time. Inhale deeply. And exhale completely. Good. If nothing else, especially if you're not feeling 100%, if you're not feeling your best, can you simply just be here, be present in your body in this practice that is here to support and nourish your mind, your body, and connect with your breath. So from here, gently pressing up onto your hands and knees. If you had the bolster underneath, you can set it to the side and leave your blocks at the top of your mat so it's accessible to you as you need them. Make sure you're stacked here with your elbows underneath your shoulders, your knees underneath your hips. And let's take a couple rounds of cat-cow here. So inhale, cow pose. Pull your shoulders towards the hips, looking up to the sky as you arch your back. Exhale, cat pose, round your back, looking towards your belly button, spreading nice and wide through the shoulder blades. And continue moving through that on your own. Moving really intuitively here, so maybe that means you move your body a bit side to side. Maybe you circle your head and neck, or rock your hips forward and back. Take one more round through your cat and cow. And then come back into a neutral spine with the fingertips facing forward. Push down through your hands, nice and steady through the shoulders. Inhale, extend your right leg behind you, toes up to the sky with a 90-degree bend in the leg. Good, maybe it feels good to add that cow shape in the spine, arching your back. Exhale, cross the right knee behind your left. Feet are nice and wide as you sit your hips backwards, keeping the hands on the ground to support you. Maybe you sit back, easing into it little by little until you find an appropriate depth.
Take another breath in and out. Unwind, right leg up and back. Inhale. Exhale, step the right foot outside of the right hand, runner's lunge. Now, if it doesn't get there the first time, you can grab behind your ankle and help slide your right foot forward. Now, you can take a lot of different variations here. Maybe you stay here, maybe you slide your left knee back so you're more into a deeper runner's lunge stretch to open up through that left hip flexor group. Maybe you grab your blocks. You can take your forearms on top of them. Another thing I personally like to do is to go for that twist, and maybe as you reach that right arm back, kicking the left heel towards you to capture the top of the foot. Good. Nice stretch through the left hip flexors and the spine and that right inner thigh. Gently release the foot if you went that route. Take both hands to your blocks and come into a wide half splits, Ardha Hanumanasana. So right leg is rotated outward, toes turned outward, and you're sitting your hips back. I love to use my blocks. Just gives you a little bit more space to work with. Take another deep breath in and out. Good. Come back into that runner's lunge, but this time lift off your back knee. Good. Now from here, crawl to the left edge of your mat. Now notice how your feet are staggered here. Keep them like that. You're going to bend your right knee, or your left knee rather, and lengthen your right leg. Now keep your right hand on the block. Continue sitting your hips back. Notice how both my feet are planted. My left knee is bent, my right leg is lengthened. And then twist towards your left. Good. You may feel that tension on the inner right leg as you rotate the spine. Take a full breath in. Exhale, take your hands down to the floor or to the blocks if you're traveling with them. Crawl to the other end of the mat. So now you are framing your left foot. Left leg is forward, right leg is back. Move your blocks out of the way. Take your hands to the ground and take a big step back, downward facing dog. And I forgot to mention, if you like, you can even take down dog with your hands on the blocks if that feels less, like it puts less strain or pressure on the shoulders and helps to put more weight in your legs. Now, as you're here, push down into the hands. Notice how the hips lift up and back. Maybe you take your down dog with a generous bend in the knees or a slight bend in the knees, or maybe the legs are fully extended. Take a full breath in. Big sigh out. Good. Go ahead and lower your knees back down. Now let's take the other side. Again, pushing down through the hands, nice and stable through the shoulders. Inhale, extend your left leg behind you, toes up, bend in the left knee. Exhale, cross the left knee behind your right, feet wide as you sit your hips back and down. Inhale, unwind, left toes up. Exhale, runner's lunge, big step out wide with your left foot. Again, perhaps you take your hands on your blocks. You can choose to stay here. Maybe you slide the right knee back so you're not on the kneecap as much as you are on the lower part of the quadricep. You can stay lifted. Maybe you come down on the forearms. Getting into that nice lizard stretch here. Feeling maybe some opening through the inner right hip flexor group, the inner left thigh. Maybe you add on the twist, reaching your left arm up and back. You can also do this instead of on the forearm, on the right hand, kicking the right heel towards you and perhaps capturing the foot. Wherever you are, wherever you choose to be, take a deep breath in. Exhale, release, hands down to the blocks. Sit your hips back and down, keeping that right knee grounded in your Ardha Hanumanasana half splits. Rotate your left leg outward so you're in a wide variation, lengthening through the spine and then hinging forward at your hips. Take a deep breath in and out. Crawl forward back into that runner's lunge, this time with that back knee lifted, and crawl to the side edge of your mat. Noticing the stagger of your feet, plant both feet so they're parallel to one another. Bend your right knee and lengthen your left leg. Pause as you're here. Inhale and exhale. Keep your left hand grounded on the floor or your block as you twist towards your right arm up to the sky. Full inhale. Exhale, take your hands down, crawl to frame your right foot. You're back to where you started. We basically took a half circle in both directions. You can either move the blocks out of the way as you take your hands to the ground, or choose to take the hands on the blocks as you step back, downward facing dog. Big inhale. And exhale, working your heels towards the mat. That may or may not mean that happens. Maybe you keep a slight or deep bend in the knees. One more inhale. Might feel nice to nod and turn your head from side to side as you're here. Let it all go as you exhale. Good. Lower your knees to the ground and swing your legs out in front. So very short and sweet, right? For that yang part of the practice. You can think of yin and yang as two oppositions, right? Sun energy, moon energy is now where we're going. You can think of what we did relative to what we're going to do now as that being more yang-like, masculine, hot, energizing. And what we're gonna do now is more of that feminine moon energy, calming, grounding, and cooling. So setting up in a reclined butterfly shape, you can utilize your blocks as you're here to support your knees, because again, in yin, it's very easy to kind of overdo it sometimes, to overstretch. I think there's a fine line and a fine balance between too much and too little. So find that in your body. Maybe you choose to utilize the blocks under the knees, or maybe not. And you can take your bolster at the back of the mat. Right? So it's going to support you really nicely here as you recline backwards. Lie all the way down, keeping those soles of the feet together, knees nice and wide, and relax your arms by your side here. Bring your eyes to a close. Yeah, and if it also feels good, you can take your hands on your hips or on the belly. Find whatever is going to support you best, though. There are 3 tattvas or principles in the yin practice, and we're going to apply that in the 3 shapes that we're going to move through in this last part of our practice here. So the first tattva or principle is to find an appropriate depth, which is what I was talking about a moment ago. So choosing to utilize your props to support you here. And then once you find an appropriate depth, then be in the shape for a bit of time. Give yourself time to kind of marinate in what you're doing, to be present in stillness, listen, to feel, to observe. And then once you do that, then the real challenge is to resolve to remain still. It doesn't mean you can't move, but it is a mindset of, okay, I'm here now. I'm going to find stillness, or at least find contentment in stillness. Notice if the mind is wandering, ruminating over the past, or planning for the future. Know that that is normal. So if that is happening, just give yourself a moment to pause, to acknowledge that the mind has drifted, and to bring your awareness back to what's happening at this point in time, no matter how subtle it may be. Take 3 more cycles of breath. And then bring your palms together in front of your chest. Interlace your fingertips as you flip the palms up and back. Big full body stretch. It may be nice to add the length of your legs forward, letting your back arch over that bolster. And then gently release, interlace the hands. Draw your knees towards you until the feet plant to the floor. And if you had those blocks underneath your knees, you can move them to the side. You're going to roll to your left-hand side of your body and gently press up. So now we're going to come into one of my favorite shapes. It's called deer pose. And with deer pose, we have 2 different rotations happening in the legs and a twist in the spine. That is I guess you can say a compressive twist that is leading itself more towards flexion of the spine than extension. So that might feel really nice for the lower back. So right now I'm sitting on my left hip. Both knees are facing towards my right. And my left leg is rotating out, my right leg is rotating in. Now, you already have the bolster or the pillow laying on the ground in front of you, so keep it there because we're going to utilize it. And if you find that the bolster or the pillow kind of collapses, it's too low to the ground, you can add the blocks underneath to add more height. Turn your chest to face the bolster. Take a deep inhale, sitting up tall. Exhale as you fold your chest on top of the bolster. And I like to turn my head in the same direction of the knees, but find whatever's going to be the most supportive for you as you're here. It might feel really nice to just kind of cradle the bolster with your arms. And if you find that the twist in the hips is a little too much with your legs bent at about 90 degrees, then you can bring the knees more towards your chest, kind of like a fetal position. If you want to go deeper, then you can kick your top knee back a bit more and then settle in. Soften the face and the jaw. Soften the shoulders. And you may notice as you breathe more expansion on the right side of your back. And if you find the longer that you're here, your body lends itself to a bit more depth, especially in the twist, then perhaps you rotate your head in the other direction. Take 3 more cycles of breath in this shape. And then take your time as you slowly press up. And we're going to take the other side. So you can actually just come onto your hands and knees or flip on over to the other side. Since I want to be facing towards you, I'm just going to move my bolster the other side. So now you're going to sit on your right hip and both knees are facing towards my left now. And again, you can adjust the rotation in the hips here. If you want more rotation, then you're going to kick your top leg back. If you want less rotation, you can bring your knees more towards one another like a fetal position. Take a deep inhale, facing your bolster, sitting up nice and tall. As you exhale, slowly fold down to that bolster. And again, perhaps you start with your head turned in the same direction as the knees. And I'll give you an opportunity if you would like to go deeper later. But of course, if you find that that supports you right off the bat, you can go for turning your head to your right. Again, relax your shoulders, relax your jaw. Bring your attention to your breath, perhaps using that as a tool to maintain that connection between the mind and the body that sometimes feel very distant from one another, especially when we're going through a lot in our bodies. And again, if you find that you are able to go a little deeper in the shape, you can turn your head towards your right at this point. Wherever you are, take 3 more cycles of breath. And then take your time as you slowly press yourself up. Make your way to your back. You're going to take your pillow or bolster and slide it underneath your pelvis. And you want to feel that it's pretty flat underneath the pelvis so that you don't feel like you're rolling your pelvis towards you or you're rolling your pelvis away from you. And then you can choose to stay with the feet planted, or you can choose to lengthen the legs out and reach the arms overhead, which is what I absolutely love to do. And we're just going to hang out here for a little bit. And I'll give you that option in a moment to come into that legs in the air or legs up the wall shape. You may notice this natural sense of inflation through the belly and the pelvis as you inhale. Your belly and pelvis are getting lighter. And as you exhale, this sense of deflation, like your belly and pelvis are getting heavier to the floor. Now, if you'd like to add on, you can plant your feet to the ground and then one at a time lengthen your legs towards the sky. And again, if you want to set up against the wall with your legs up the wall, you can do that. But this might feel really nice with just letting those legs go up in the air, arms relax by your side, and feeling like the pelvis is supported. Speaking of being physically supported here, sometimes I think as women we forget to ask for help, to ask for support, to slow down and to listen to ourselves and our intuition, especially when we're not feeling 100% instead of pushing all the time. So perhaps this is a first step for you to slow down, to notice where your work is in your practice, not just, on a consistent basis, but just at different points of your cycle, knowing that our energy levels are constantly shifting and changing, And every day is going to feel a little different in our bodies. Take 3 more cycles of breath here. And then hug your knees to your chest. It might feel nice to rock gently side to side. Or even to take your hands on your knees and circle your thighs in opposite directions of one another like egg beaters. And then to circle in the other direction. Lower your feet to the ground until the bottoms of them are planted under the knees. Lift your hips up and move that bolster out of the way. Again, you can choose to just lengthen the legs out on the ground. You can also choose to plant your feet as wide as the mat and knock the knees in. Take a moment here to place your hands on your lower abdomen and the pelvic region as you close your eyes for a moment, finding so much gratitude for your body. I know we can oftentimes take our bodies for granted. Our bodies are so amazing. They do so much for us. And even if it's not performing at our highest level of expectation, sometimes that's a sign telling us to slow down and to turn inward a bit more. Take a deep breath in and a big sigh out. You are more than welcome to stay here for as long as you need and just let the video continue playing all the way through. But if you're ready to move on, whether this be the ending of the day or the start of your day, hug your knees to your chest, roll to one side, and gently press yourself up. So I hope today's practice was supportive for you in the best way possible. Slowing down, finding that balance between yin and yang. You know, we have both qualities of masculine and feminine, yin, yang, sun, moon within us. And, you know, at some points throughout our cycle and throughout the day, we may feel more connected to the masculine side of ourselves, and other days we may feel more connected to the feminine side of ourselves. And during this phase of your menstrual cycle, you may feel more pulled towards that feminine energy. And so hopefully this practice was here to support you in that, to help you create balance between those two oppositions. I will be adding 3 other classes to this series. I'll be focused on the other 3 phases of your menstrual cycle. So come back and check those out. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe and like button so that you can stay up to date on new classes and new content as I release them. And if you'd like to purchase a mat just like this, I will link it below in my description. If you need some props for this practice and you were kind of using what you had, but you wanted to level up your practice maybe with the bolster or the blocks, then I will also link below my Amazon favorites that you can purchase your blocks, your bolsters, and everything else in between. So with that said, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.